Hello and good morning and welcome to a new update in which we're going to discuss the altcoins once again. It's Saturday, it's my birthday, but today we're going to discuss altcoins as probably the overall consensus is still that we're going to trend further down. And yes, the markets have been breaking down, but does it mean that there is absolutely zero interest in altcoins at this point? And that's what we're going to cover. But before we're going to continue, make sure to subscribe beneath, like this YouTube update, and check out my Twitter and Instagram where you can find daily content on the markets. So when we're looking at the altcoins, we can have the top altcoins once again. I mean, we can look at them. There are some altcoins that have been running pretty well and some altcoins that have been destroyed by the actual correction of Bitcoin earlier this week. One of them was ENS. That one was trending upwards, curved the same, and it has been trending or dropping down quite swiftly. When we're looking at the markets with the altcoins, which I've been covering previously too, is the fact that altcoins are down approximately 80% already. They are down, or they are having an entire bear cycle at this stage already, and they get back towards the levels they started the actual run of 2021. For instance, Chainlink is getting back to that level of the beginning of 2021, which will ultimately lead towards a result of a breakout back upwards again, as buyers are slowly going to step in. That's what we're going to discuss when it comes to the TA section. We are also going to cover a few projects that you should be looking at when it comes to the markets, based on the current price action. I think everything is just looking the same. But the fact that some altcoins have been breaking up during this week and have been showing some more strength is an actual result of potential continuation to be happening if Bitcoin is going to have any form of bullish behavior. So instead of continuing this intro, let's get towards the charts and discuss what I'm seeing on the markets. For the example of how the markets are behaving right now, I'm going to take Chainlink once again, and we're also going to cover a few other ones that I'm looking at this stage because it shows the ultimate bear cycle stage that we're currently acting in. If we're looking at the previous cycle, we see that we had a big impulse move on Chainlink 2, consolidation in which we correct all the way back towards the previous levels, consolidate on that stage, and then we start running back up again. If you look at the classic bubble cycle for a market, you can see that there's always like the Burj Khalifa pattern. Heavy volatility going upwards, heavy volatility going downwards. The bounces are getting weaker, but also the lower lows are getting less heavy. So at this stage, what we're seeing with the markets for Chainlink, for instance, I'll just erase this, is we do have this big impulse move to the upside. We do have a big impulse move to the downside. An immediate bounce resulting into a lower high, and then the bounces are getting weaker. So this is the low. Since then we did not really make any new lower low. However, we got this impulse move. The impulse move here is getting weaker, including a lower high, another weak impulse move and a lower high, but also a weaker bounce, another impulse move which creates a lower high and lower low, but the trend is getting less volatile going downwards. So you can actually just conclude that the buyer's pressure is getting weaker and the sell pressure, which is the most important one, is getting weaker too. So we ultimately start bottoming out or accumulating overall, in which we can see that we clearly get into a stage where you want to start accumulating your investment position. And yes, the markets can still continue dropping down. So for instance, if we drop towards the gray box, it's a minus 30%. But if we start looking the other way around, which is the positive way, towards the all-time high is 550%. So if you start a thesis of, I want to include Chainlink in my portfolio and I want to start accumulating that from here all the way towards, let's say, $7. So averaging, you get it for $9 and the all-time high is 52. If the downwards risk is approximately 30 to 50% and the upside potential is at least a 500%, I think it's always a plus EV move if the project is fundamentally still doing well. It's the classic pattern of an accumulation of the altcoins. And yes, it looks like we can still have a period of sideways accumulation. I'm not assuming that we're going to have a peak bull run in 2022. I'm assuming we will be having that next year, ending somewhere in 2024. But I'd rather want to focus on what the data is saying when it comes to the altcoins. And right now, especially if you're looking at my social media or on any of the bigger accounts in Twitter and the comments on TA, the overall conclusion is yes, we're going to 20k. Even people are predicting, hey, Bitcoin is going towards 8k. I'm not assuming that that's going to happen. I think that we're relatively quite close towards the potential bottom, and potentially we could still go to 30k, and that would give you a chance to get into Chainlink when it comes to the corrective period here. When we're looking at altcoins that I'm definitely interested in, it's Curve, for instance. We've had a period of sideways accumulation for a while in which we had this run. And if you look at an example of how things bottom out, this is one of those. You can see an impulse move after the listing, rejection, 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 but the bounces and the price pattern starts to go flat, and the lower lows are getting less heavy than the ones before. So here you can see that the breakdown is resulting into this downwards drop, then another one, and then it starts to become less heavy. So the sell pressure starts to end up, and then you start accumulating. When it comes to the structure here too, we can see the exact same taking place. Running up, downwards move, rejection, another heavy downwards move, rejection, and now the downwards movements are getting less and we start to bottom out. In that case, Curve has been making a higher low here too. So as long as we stay above there, it seems likely that we're going to continue moving. And if we have another higher low taking place here, approximately around $2.20, the chances are that we're going to crack these, and then we are looking at a test at $3.50 and potentially have continuation in which we are eager to crack these highs here. So Curve is definitely on the list of coins that is currently looking quite good, or at least having some continuation happening here. If you're looking at some other coins, Skill, which has been a big runner, it looks like we are having that retest of the lows again. So if we could be having a retest around the lows, that is a trigger for a long entry here. We've just had a big impulse move towards resistance, which I honestly had to short, but I missed it. Overall, what we're looking at is that we're going to have some more sideways action before we start to take a run again. But if we get into this region between 10 cents to approximately 13, the investment thesis starts to build up here, as the chances are that when we're getting a run again, we take out this high and most likely start taking out these two, focusing on a new run towards 60 cents. If you look at that, the ultimate thesis and the ultimate outlook is going to bring you a run of 400%. So I'm thinking that if this one is going to slow down the actual downwards trend, it's an optimal play to look at. And then the one that's most hyped at this point, that's Cardano. Big run, and now we are still trending south, in which we also rejected here. We've made a new lower low. We're currently on a block of interest that has to hold here, so we ultimately are looking for such a scenario that we just bottom out too. If that doesn't happen, I'm looking at the next level around 38 cents. But these two are the ones that I'll be looking at if you want to get into Cardano for a trading or investing, swing trade or investing proposition, then these are the two that you should be looking at. Finally, VeChain. We are also looking at a full consolidation or correction here. Classic Burj Khalifa pattern, massive run in 2021, massive downwards move in 2021, lower high created here. Then it took a while until we cracked this low, where we can see that we are having corrections here all the way, but we are making less heavy downwards lower lows, in which ultimately the result could be that we're finishing off this correction anyway in this region, as there are so many higher time frame support zones. So if we're getting any of this scenario, the most likely next run is going to bring us towards either 15 cents or 12 cents. If I'm looking at altcoins, I think you can pick your own. I mean, I'm personally looking at Curve, for instance. I'm also looking at Chainlink still to build up my position. Those are the ones that I want to build for my swing trade and investments. I'm going to enjoy my birthday. I hope you have enjoyed this update. I'll be back tomorrow with a fresh new update about a new hype that we get into crypto right now. Don't do stupid shit. Enjoy your life, and I'll see you again tomorrow.